right there?
There's no. Well, we can ask the fans because we're live now. Just to warn
Okay.
you, don't do anything that's going to get any of us in trouble because we're live here with none other than WWE, WCW, AWA wrestling legend. I hear there's a big poll right now to get you as part of the Hall of Fame. None other than the Rocker, Marty Jannetty, and I keep saying, people, you're 100% right. When Sean wants to go in for the third time, you're 100% going in. So you
Well,
do
yeah.
have that in your back
And,
pocket.
and I'm not really sure I understand. Um, because I mean, I know Sean, I love him to death. We had our riffs, you know that, and but we have became or came back to being good friends again, and so I really don't understand because, like I said, I know him well. Him not wanting to be the man. He beats Ric Flair. He beats, I think, Triple H is in twice. He beats everybody. He's in three times. For him to say like, nah, I don't really care about that, and be 100% humble and truthful and frank and all that other words. Nah, that's just not him. Even the new version. Well, I say new. Him being religious is not new now. And but that's none of my business. That's between him and the man that ribs me all the time. For your fans that don't know, I am considered GAT, GAT, God's amusement toy. I have got to get T-shirts and print that out. But basically, what it means is when God is sitting up there and he's tired of his old toys, like natural disasters type things, quasars, black holes swallowing up everything, tsunamis on Earth. You get your tsunamis, volcanoes, wildfires, earthquakes. When he's like bored with that, where's Jannetty? And then a couple of bolts of lightning coming. I wasn't even doing nothing. Oh, he's having fun with me. Okay. And like I was telling you, the good part of that is that what the hell's going on with my head? Are you going to be able to look at that? The
You
audience will
look
be able
great. Your
to.
hair actually I think it's the best hair you've had
Oh, you
in all the
changed,
interviews
man.
I've done with you.
You changed.
Yeah.
Somehow that was
No,
you were
because
being.
the first time you had that ACDC hat, and there was endless comments about how much you looked like Brian Johnson. Then the second time it was terrible. You probably don't even remember it because I think you'd been partying all night, and
There's a
like half the
chance.
time you had the hat over your face.
There's a very good chance that's possible. Because back in my younger days, like last week, I used to party. I
Yeah.
have been, I've straightened up as a young, or not an old man just turning old, just recently turned old, and straightened my life out. And I don't get drunk nearly as much, and I almost don't do drugs at all. Almost.
Hey, speaking of straightening your life out, remember like 4 or 5 months ago, Buff Bagwell said you're going to be the next one to die. Well, it was Hulk Hogan, Sabu. Those are the two that really stick out to me. So he was definitely wrong on that one. You're
Yeah,
going to
he.
outlive everybody. And he lost a leg. I don't mean to laugh, but like
Yeah,
you didn't die
yeah.
and he lost a leg.
Well, and I feel bad for him, but yeah, when I saw that, but there's, and he told me that, and he did it on one of a podcast I did with him. Was saying, he didn't know that the producer was gonna Marty's next. Buff says Marty's next to die. So I didn't do that. I got on to him for putting that on, but you know how that goes. I mean, clickbait, whatever will get them looking. And I mean, I understand that. It's just weird to see one of your friends predicting you to be dead soon. But he's all right. We talked about it.
Also, Sika and Black Bart died since you said that. So
Oh,
since you
yeah,
said that, so there's a good five of them. So I just want to point out that he was wrong. He doesn't have a crystal ball, and Iron Sheik outlived Nikolai Volkov by a good 10 years, and he was in a lot worse shape than you.
yeah, yeah. Um, and like I said, then Buff also, I gave him a call when I heard about his leg thing, and I felt, I felt bad for him. And they were running that by me they were saying that they was thinking of the last option left for me because at that point I've had 3 right ankle surgeries, um, and it just wasn't fixing. So they said, "Well, Marty, start thinking about and consider amputation." What? Who? Me? No, man. Tell my family. Is that glare too much? Ask your viewing audience.
Viewing audience, let me know. It's fine on my end, but yeah, I would say try and keep your foot as long as you can. You had a surgery. I've been talking to you about this because
Yeah.
you're putting me in touch with your doctor one of these days. But how's it going with the
One of
foot?
these days, I thought I did already.
Oh, now we lost you. Oh, he'll be back. He will be back. There's a picture he sent me. I don't know if that's his current wife.
Is it
We
back?
lost your. Oh, there you are.
No. And please get that picture off. That was the wife for 4 days. So
Oh
we
yeah, I
lost.
was asking why you sent that. Your video's gone. I think you clicked the wrong button there.
What video?
Okay, you're back. I was meaning to click on this one because that was from your last surgery.
Yeah. No, that actually was the beginning of this disaster I've been going through for 3.5, right at close to 4 years. That was when I was living in Tampa Bay area. I was actually in St. Pete, waiting to rent a place in Clearwater because I wanted to eventually get Clearwater is my favorite place. I wanted to get back there, and so many of the boys were down there, and but I got this like rental for like a couple of weeks, and I have insomnia. I mean, I've struggled with that, and the thing with the insomnia I got is you don't know when it's going to hit, but once it hits, you just ain't sleeping for a few days. Uh, yeah, uh, I had called who was picking me up that particular day. Told him I'm gonna take a quick nap and I'll be up and moving my shit, packing up this truck and driving it over to the new place I was just about to get. Happy as hell, but it was day 4 of the non-sleep, which that's when you're sitting there you're nodding out and bobbing, and I was like, just knocked loud because if I do, and I could tell I was going to, fall asleep. And trust me, on day 4, you won. That's also the day for me, hallucinations start. On day 4, and I've been some nurses confirmed that, like, yeah, day 4 is rough when these attacks happen. Back when I was younger, I could go 4 days and with no problem, but there was probably some chemicals involved, at the partying. But now that I'm older, man, and after day 2, I'm just like I've got no energy. Day 3 is dragged way down into worst is you're so tired. And you can lay there and just almost be floating, but you can't seem to fall asleep, which is that's when you recharge the battery. You recharge yourself, re-energize. Um, but that particular day, and this is craziness, but this really happened, and is what happened. I told her, my friend that was coming, I said, I'm going to take a little nap, so just knock hard if I'm not right there with the door open waiting. Yeah, that right there is they they came. She had to get the manager because I wasn't answering the door, and he had a key. But they went and had it was when I woke up, laying on the floor because everything's gone. But I just lay on the floor, catch a little bit of a nap, and I wake up and there's uh, 2 paramedics. I thought 3. She said no, it was just 2, and it was 2 paramedics around me, and I'm waking up. And when you first wake up, especially after you haven't slept in a few days, you're a little confused and groggy still. And I'm looking at it, what the hell? I go, what's going on? They said, well, we need to take you in. I said, take me in. It was 2 policemen. Take me in for what? And they were like, well, we just got to examine you and see what's going on with you, and check your health. And Why? And I got up, I was standing there, and I'm like, no, man, I'm fine. I just fell asleep because I haven't slept in 4 days. I mean, it's got insomnia bad. And they always said, well, just come on and get one of those the truck ambulance, or I guess that's all they have these days is trucks. They said, we'll just ride up to the hospital and check you out. I don't need to. The main thing was I needed to get out that day. From where I was written, that was my last day. If you got to go. And so my cheap ass didn't want an extra day or a week or whatever they might have charged. And more so than that, they had somebody waiting behind me to rent the apartment that I was in. You did it like that, like a week rental. Um, it was so man, I was like, I'm fine, man. Shit, look at me, do jumping back jacks, whatever you want. But yeah, they were like, well, no, we got to have you go in and get checked, and I didn't understand that, and who would, right? Like, I'm fine. I was sleeping. And they're like, well, you have to go in and get checked now. I said, I ain't got to. I ain't got to do shit. And I'm not going. And they were like, oh, you're going to have to go. Okay, well, I mean, what is that? What do you think if this happened to you? You know you're fine. You know you haven't slept in a few days is why you were so hard to wake up. I mean, what are you going to, I don't need to go. What are they going to do? Say, oh, yeah, you could use a couple of hours of sleep. I don't need to waste time doing that shit. But so, it came down to where we were not arguing confrontation. Like, it was just simply like, no, I'm not going. Well, you got to go. No, I don't got to go. Not. And then one of them had said, this is where it went sour. One of them said, well, look, we can do this the hard way or the easy way. And that's like a threat. And so I looked around and it was like I saw four. They say I saw five, but five people, and I thought, shit, I'm outnumbered bad. So I've been like, well, how long is it going to take? Because I've got to get out of here. And they were like, oh, if you cooperate, it won't take that long. Well, they were wanting me to get in the little gurney thing, but I'm like, I don't need that. And so I walked into the ambulance truck. And then they have to get strapped in before they can drive. So I understood. So that was fine. We got there. We drove to the hospital, and when we got there, they didn't want me getting up and walking. They said, "No, stay in there." I said, no, I don't need to stay. I'm not getting gurneyed in. I mean, it was embarrassing. I felt like, what the, yeah. But so I reached down and unclicked it and stood up. And I said, I'm not, you're not wheeling me in and that. And so they, walked with me, right around me, walked me into it. This is where all the bullshit begins, really. Well, it started at the apartment. But so I walk in, they take me to have whatever they took me past the desk to a room already waiting. And that room had five people and it had other people. It was a big open room. But so my my friend was with me is videoing this. And when they got me to the bed to lay down, she's videoing. They turned around, said, "Stop videoing," and she was just like, oh, "Why?" But then they said, "You got to go," and she goes, "What are y'all doing with him? I mean, what are you doing? Why are you making him lay down?" And they didn't answer. They wouldn't answer. They just kept saying, "You're going to have to go." And the first thing they did was brought me some pills. I have not asked for anything. As much as I could use sleep, I did not say, "Hey, can I sleep here at the hospital?" So I didn't ask for anything. And that's what was confusing to her. Like when they started bringing me medicine. Um, Sorry about that. They she was asking the same thing I was. Like, what are you giving me and why? I mean, I don't understand this shit. But they just kept telling her, "You got to go, you got to." And finally made her leave. But so that was day one. What I remember of the 4 to 5 days I was there, because I don't have a recollection of much of anything, other than when I would wake up, there was needles in my arms, my arm, and they're always bringing me some pills, a little paper thing of pills to take, and those pills were making me feel good, so I wasn't arguing. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take that. And I'm just laying back and with TV on, and I'm just like, I'm not even thinking about, you know, Marty, you got to go fucking move. What's going on here? I was enjoying the feeling good. Um, and
So
they,
you had to move your house. You had to move from one place to another,
yeah,
but at the same time, they're keeping you in this hospital and
yeah,
medication you up. So, how did
yeah.
you get your stuff moved in the end?
The two of my friends, two girls that were in that area, knew exactly where the place was. Went and got. There was not really that much left. We'd already moved most of it. Went and got the remainder of the shit in there, and took it over. But they were the best part. I say the best part, but the good part was there's video of me walking in the hospital. 4 days later, the one girl that lives in the Tampa Bay area, the other one had to go back to Ohio. The one that lives there came to get me, and I couldn't walk. They had to put me in a wheelchair and get her to wheelchair me to the car. And she was having a fit about that. Like, why is he in a wheelchair? He walked in. Why is he wheelchaired out? Which we still haven't. Nobody still hasn't answered that. But and when I got out, or when I first day out, I'm out, right? But once I get my senses about me and away from that medicine stuff that were giving me, I'm like, what the hell's going on, man? Because it was like in my lower back, and of course the ankles were, there was problems, but I could still walk around and work out. I was working out and stuff, but it was like I couldn't figure out what the hell is going on. Why can't I walk? What happened? What happened? And I'm starting to recall shit now. And I'm like, well, man, I walked in the hospital and I can't walk since. What the hell? Like I said, the ankles were, going through their shit, and we knew it wasn't going to be long
Right.
before I had to, surgery on them. But that don't happen like that. Bring you into the well, not bring me and force me into the hospital. I'm there for 4 days. Maybe it was day five. I don't know. And then I can't leave on my own. I'm in a wheelchair to get around. and I got out the one day and was trying to figure out what. And I kept telling my friends around Tampa like what's going on. They actually hooked me up with one of the boys, but he works now like that at a rehab center. But I think mainly rehab for drugs, I guess. But we were looking rehab as far as what's going on with the back and ankle. I mean, I couldn't. You could stand me up, and I couldn't take a step because I'd crinkle, fold up. And so went to that place. That was like I went to a hotel for one night, and then to that place. I still haven't seen the apartment. Other than with my stuff in it, I mean, of course I've seen it. But so the second place, God, I can't think of his name. It's one of the boys. Y'all would know who it is. But he, for y'all that might know that he does this now. He works at a rehab center.
Was it this
Tri-County
guy? Was it
Hospital.
the honky tonk man?
Yeah, look at that head, man. What the hell's he doing with that cone, pine cone, black pine cone on his head? But then I better not say nothing. My head looked like a damn ski lift. But yeah. So the second place, I was there a couple of days. God, man, I wish I could remember the name because y'all do know him. And I feel bad. He tried to help me out, and I can't remember his name. And it was very nice of them to try to help. But they came to me on the second day there. I think I stayed overnight one night, and they came and said, well, "Marty, we can't help you. You're worse than what we thought. We didn't know it was going to be this bad that you can't walk. How can you hardly turn over in the bed? When they come to me, they want to examine anything. I was hurting just to roll over. So they, gave me pills to for pain. But so that was that place, and now I'm it's almost 5, 6, 7 days since the original incident, if we want to call it that. But they took me to another place where they wanted to do thorough checks of what's going on with his back. The back was bothering me the most. I mean, it was like I couldn't even get up like straighten up in bed or sit up in bed. I couldn't do that because of the lower back. So the second, third place, now the third place that I go to, I had to be there like, I don't know, 5 days, 6 days. I don't have the time frames exact, but tried to get them as close as I could, in hindsight, because I'm looking at, what, but I'm going to get an attorney because this is bullshit. Walk in and then you can't walk no more, and they made you go. So the third place I went, I stayed, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, maybe a week, and it was the same thing, man. It was like just I was happy. I was just smiling, like, yeah, bring this, whatever they were giving me was making me feel good, like it was just floating. I imagine it was some type of pain medication, but it would be like 3 or 4 different pills. So that combo was working to make me feel good, to where I'm fine here. I'm fine here. Turn the TV or put a game on, anything. I'm fine here, and it just it wasn't dawning on me I guess when you're that mashed up on pills, all these different and whatever they were putting in my arm.
Just be
um,
happy you don't look like this. You're not the bionic man yet.
hey, I'm gonna come back and tell about that right there. Yeah, I'm not the
Yeah.
buying man, but I'm right in line for it. But they so so I got a uh, I get what somebody was telling me is they maxed out. They ran the score up on my Medicaid card. On the insurance, they ran it as far as they could because they have to okay everything. So they were done after whatever it was. We'll say a week, and they shipped me over to Tampa General, another hospital. And that one I was in for almost 2 weeks, like 10 days or so. We know this. I went in right before Thanksgiving. I spent Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's in the hospital. So that's what a 6 weeks span right there. And that Tampa General kept me. They kept doing MRIs, and I remember the next to last day there or whatever. And again, it was the same routine. I'm feeling good with the medicines they're giving me. And actually, I wish I'd found out what that combo was, because it was like just laying there, no pain, no aches. Can't get up and walk, but don't need to. This is fine right here. And it was almost like I was enjoying and waiting for the next. Well, they would bring me some medicine every, I don't know, 4 to 6 hours, and then that would I was sitting around, start thumping my fingers like, okay, next serving. But yeah, and then finally when they let me out of Tampa General, because they wanted to. They did analyze. They said you got 26 or 23 with uh, points of concern. We got to find out what it is. And it was like, okay, we just did MRI. What do you plan on doing? We I have to go in. Oh man, gonna go in on my back. Okay, what the hell is going on? I walked into place. Now you're telling me I got cancer, or whatever the hell. The 23 points of concern in the lower back, on the lower back. The ankles were always going to be an issue. But yeah, man, and when they let me go out of Tampa General, because evidently Medicaid wouldn't agree to what they were trying to run the score up, and Medicaid said no, and so they had to let me go. And so my brother came down and got me, and the apartment was gone. They had to get the shit out and kept it at a couple friends' place. But that was to this day. Now it was probably a good when I got home to Georgia, my original home. When I got home, I have a great friend that's a doctor, ankle uh, specialist. Went to him, and his brother. We all played football together in high school. Was a shoulder specialist, and you know, I was having problems raising my arms. Um, all from the hospital. That shit was fine. I was moving furniture before I went in, but when I got home, did some tests and came and told me, he said, Marty, you've got a blood infection called sepsis, and we need to get it out of you fast. So I was like, sepsis? I've heard of it. I don't know what the hell it is. And they were like, it can kill you. God damn. So now I'm thinking, wait a minute, man. I was fine. Went to the hospital for 6 weeks, and now I got sepsis. And Dr. McCluskey, I shouldn't say his name out of respect. Dr. McCluskey, I asked him, like, where'd you get that from? How do you got blood infection? And he said, well, it's generally from not very clean hospitals. As soon as he said that, the very first place was nasty. I have pictures. I may have showed you where they had they were sticking me, and for the IV, constant IV, and changed it every so often. They came in one time. I took pictures. I got the pictures. I should have sent you that if I had known we should talk like this. But they couldn't get it in the vein. They said it keeps flattening out. Um, so they eventually, after about, it would stick me in the back of the wrist, arms, all over the place, trying to find a vein that wouldn't collapse. And they finally got one in. But blood is leaking. It's not in enough to where they can get it in cleanly. And so instead of take it out and do it anymore, they taped it on there. They taped it so it would still be able to get some of the IV, and it was blood. The pictures I got, that's another thing for proof. Showing, look what the hell they did. I mean, why is there blood running off my arm, trapped underneath all the wrap? Blood was on the side of me. I remember that in there, but again, the medicine was making me feel good. I didn't care about nothing. I was like, hey, I'm fine, shit. But I laid in blood for 2 or 3 days. Finally, it was a guy nurse, male nurse, that he came in and saw it all. Man, I thought I turned that off. Sorry if y'all hearing that. Fuck. Male nurse, he's looking at me, Jesus, what have they done to you? I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. And when he seen the blood on the sheets, it was pretty, it was constant running. He was like, I'm sorry, but I got to fix this. I can't let you lay around in this. So he actually had the sheets changed, took this thing off, and he went to the other arm and found it, a vein. But that's, with that, don't you got to sort of feel like that's probably where you got the sepsis. Because if they're that nasty to leave me laying around in blood for days.
Was that any relation to Ray Stevens beating you up? Somebody's asking.
Ray Stevens?
I've never heard that one.
Ray Stevens, I haven't either. Scott Hall and Ray was who I yelled at.
You made up with Scott Hall, though, right? I see this picture. You sent me that. He looks terrible there.
What's that?
He looks terrible.
Right there?
Yeah, he looks like he's half out of it. Is that
right? I was probably about 6 months or so before he died. And he wasn't doing good. I know that.
He looks better in this one.
Which one? Oh yeah, he does. I think that was longer ago. I think that might have been like 5 or 6 years ago.
Hey, I heard Sean got X-Pac a job reviewing videotapes for WWE.
Got what? Oh, really?
Yeah. Did you hear about that?
No.
He's like the guy,
great
when you send in videotapes, he reviews them.
That's great for X-Pac. Yeah. Sean. He's also a Sean. That's the one that actually we were tag champions for a little bit. All those years with Shawn Michaels, never. Well, we did win it and for 3 days, almost like my marriage, 4 days. But we were champions for 3 days. Oh no, that was something like that. Because we beat the Quebecers on. It was either Raw or maybe it was a special taping. I don't know. Or it
Actually,
was.
I remember that because that was like the first time in forever they had a belt switch at a house show, right? Wasn't it like some house they showed like the
It was
clip?
in Richmond, Virginia, and I think it was where they were filming, but they did that
Yeah,
every
they had
night.
camera.
Yeah, and they used that. So that's show everybody the thing. But I think it was the next Raw that they had. Was it them or the Quebecers back? They get them back. Somebody came and got them back, or got them. I don't know. I can't remember now. That's horrible. I mean, I used to never forget anybody or any time or any place. I could tell them what match number we were. Even the enhancement guys. That you'd see once, and they would would ask me like a few years later. Yeah, you probably don't remember me. Like, yeah, we worked with you up in wherever, and they'll be like, damn, he remembers. But now my memory is shot.
That's
I don't, I
impressive.
don't, I don't doubt that sepsis is already. I didn't have much brain to work with, but it's already got up there and messing with it. But
You mentioned the Quebecers. Someone had a question on here
okay,
about you wrestled the Rougeos in London on October '89 at the WWE live event. He was there for it. Do you remember that tour at all? When it was Raymond and Jacques, the Rougeau brothers, or
in '89. Okay, I thought in '89. Yeah,
you called him Jacques, right?
yeah. He hated
And
it,
he
man.
hated that.
Yeah, we're boys, so we're always cutting
Yeah.
up. We played cards.
So anyone that sees him at an autograph convention, address him like that.
Yeah. Hey, oh God, he would. I hadn't seen him in like about. This was probably a couple years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. That I had not seen him about probably 10 years before that. And I saw him. He's coming down the elevator, escalator thing at the hotel. And I'm like, yeah, yeah. And he's like, his eyes got big, and he's looking around. He goes, Jesus Christ, I didn't miss that. He couldn't stand it. He goes, I hated that so much, and here you are again to do it to me. But grinning and cutting up and shit. But
Were
yeah,
you jealous that they got to sing their own theme song and you guys didn't? Because theirs was pretty good, actually, even though they sang it. But you guys are the rockers and you don't get to sing. Are you
we
that
did
bad?
sing. We did sing. We sang. We're two young guns, and we will rock you. But it was some song they put together for the first storyline that we did in WWF. And that's the one where we was wrestling. So whoever Jimmy Hart, I think it was the Rougeos, but it was the Rougeau brothers, not the Quebecers. The Quebecers came later, and that was the other Canadian boy, great guy. I can't remember his
Pierre.
name either. But
Were
they
you there
Pierre,
when he had
Pierre
that
something.
fight with Nash?
Say again.
Were you there when he had that fight with Nash that got him all the heat in WWE?
Who did?
PCO. I guess you weren't there for it. He refused to drop to him in Montreal, and then
Oh,
they
you
had
talking about? Are you talking about?
the pirate, Quebecer
Yeah,
Pierre.
yeah. I didn't know he got in a fight with anybody.
Okay.
I thought one of the Rougeos was Jacques Rougeau.
Yeah.
That had gotten a fight with Davy Boy. It wasn't really a fight. It was kind of like Scott Hall and I was, a sucker punch out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Scott's was while I was asleep in the dressing room. This one, Davy Boy, Dynamite Kid was coming out of the catering room where we ate during the day on TV days. You remember that? And had 2 cups of coffee in his hand, and yuck. He was ready. He'd had. They said he had a roll of coins. Some said he had a. I didn't see it. Sean and I were actually in the dressing room, in the ring, doing what we usually would do, which was, try out, think about new moves, think about new combinations. Like we shot him that way, and you ran that way, and I go this way. And, we were always doing that on TV tapings. You had you up there all damn day. But so we heard, yeah, we're out there in the ring going through stuff we might do that night, and we heard her yelling and screaming. It was just out of place. We're like, what the hell? We didn't find out till later that that was, when Dynamite came out with 2 cups of coffee. I guess Rougeau caught him, knocked him down, and Raymond, his brother, was actually a boxer, pretty good, evidently, and he was yelling instructions. The yelling we were hearing was him yelling instructions in French. Uh, and Pat, what is it? Was Pat Patterson? Actually had come by and he's screaming at him to stop, break it up, and all that. But yeah, that's they said the ones that did see it. Uh, I heard it, I didn't see it, but the ones that saw it said Dynamite. He got him, knocked him. He went down to a knee, was getting back up when Jock was doing with his brother the instructions. But yeah, he Dynamite was, and that was, man, it knocks 2, 3 of his teeth out,
Yeah.
Dynamite teeth out. And Kurt Hennig, always the pranksters, like, hey, we got a new guy in the territory. He's like, talking about Dynamite. He said he came up to me just just making fun of how he's talks with that like a lisp now because his teeth were out. But yeah, and
You want to know
we
what's weird though that they never would do now? They still sent Ray on the road with the broken leg. He still had to make his shots. Now people will be off for like 6 months over the smallest injuries. Whereas you mentioned Ray couldn't fight that day, but they were still making him show up at the towns with the broken leg.
yeah, a lot of change came, especially through WCW, because they had the injured reserve list. When you would get hurt, they put you on the IR, the injured reserve list, and you were getting paid while you were sitting at home. And so many of the boys went all the way with that, and then I guess it trickled over to WWF, same kind of thing. The guys were getting taken care of during their injury, so they would sit home and get paid. I mean, so like if they wasn't in a major storyline, they had no incentive to want to go on the road. But
Another thing that's changed, I heard CM Punk, it's all in the news today. He's making a big deal about fans approaching wrestlers at hotels or airports. It's like, isn't that part of your job being famous? I mean, I
well,
know it's a pain in the ass and stuff, but I mean, these guys are only wrestling once a week at best and making millions. Is it really that big a deal? I know they want people to do the paid autograph sessions, but you dealt with it, right?
of course, and but it was different for me. I loved being on the road. In fact, there was times I was hurt that I wouldn't take time off. Vince had to come to me once and say, Marty, I know your 70% is better than most people's 100%, but I need you at 100%. Take some time off. Your job will be here. It's not going anywhere. I didn't want the time off. I had a torn rotator, and I didn't want no time off though, because I loved the road. The road was home. Home was the road. I had, so for me, when you come into the hotel, especially if the fans, find out, oh, they stay over here,
Especially if they're
or
girls,
what's that?
especially if they're females.
Yeah, and so uh, you see fans everywhere. We were pretty popular at that time, so you're going to see them at restaurants and convenience stores. I mean, that's part of the life. I mean, to me, it was accepted. I actually liked it, because I loved the fans. So I always did.
Yeah.
So
To me,
being on the
that's part
road,
of the fun of being famous. I know it's a drag sometimes, but come on, to have people waiting at a hotel for you, that's
yeah,
unacceptable. Don't bother us. That's our personal time. Give us a
no,
break,
there
man.
is
It's
no
a
personal
trade-off.
time. When you go on the road for wrestling, there is no personal time. And Vince has told us that. He says you're a representative 24 hours a day when you're on the road. And you kind of really are. I mean, they
Well,
don't,
Vince is gone
they
now.
don't,
Maybe that's the problem.
what's that?
Maybe the problem is Vince isn't running things now.
Well, that's true too. I mean, I'm not sure who's the main boss now. who's calling all the shots, who's the one that puts his foot down. This is going to change. I don't even know who that would be right now. Triple H was for a while, but then he got
I
shuffled
think The
around.
Rock is higher than Triple H technically, but yeah, it's the TKO guys that make, or what's his name, the president, Nick Khan. Nick Khan is the very top, but Rock holds a lot of stock, but I don't know how hands on he is.
Khan, isn't he the owner of EC? Not EC,
No,
AEW?
that's Tony Khan. Nick
Oh,
Khan is the genius. Nick Khan is the guy getting all these awesome deals for them, where they're making all this money on TV deals and stuff, despite their ratings not being great. Actually, SmackDown got its lowest rating ever last week,
really?
0.22,
Yeah.
which is terrible.
Damn, that is low.
AEW Dynamite last week only did a 0.07 for their
Wow,
prime time for their top show, but
that's damn near shut down ratings. Yeah.
someone's clearing up. I guess it's Bruce Pritchard started this story about Ray Stevens asked Vince McMahon if he would get fired if he punched you, according to Bruce Pritchard.
I actually did hear that. I don't know very truth to it. The day that one of the times that Vince let me go was Sean and I had a match in Sacramento. It was Royal Rumble. We were the opening match, and it didn't exactly go. The, I guess they probably did this when you were there. When you're on a pay per view, they put you and your opponent together like two or three shows leading into that, so you can get the match down really good. Timing the rhythm, add and subtract. Get it to where it's really good. And they had done that with us, him and I. Man, the best match I ever had in my life, individual, single, one match that was absolutely the best was in Denver, 2 nights before the Royal Rumble, and we started with a jump start. Went out right away, and I'm looking at that. Remember that was my second best match ever. Was Kurt
Okay,
Angle.
yeah, I'm just giving a tease for the fans. That was you and Angle.
Yeah. Um, but so yeah, they uh, put us. Sean and I had like great. The one in Denver though, we did a jump start and never slowed down for 20 minutes. So the fan were up. The fans are gonna get on their feet when you jump start. You attack right away, and they never sat down for 20 minutes. You always hear about Denver and the thin air. That never bothered us. Till that day. We got around the 17-minute mark, and we're across the ring looking at each other, making sure both of us are panting, which we were. And, it's the fans kind of caught on to it and started, doing their chants and cheering. The fans pulled us through the last 3 to 4 minutes. And, man, when the match was over, we were beat. We didn't have anything else left. It was like I remember myself going back to the dressing room first, and when I got ready to curtain, Sean was starting to come out. They cheered both of us. They stood up, the fans, and gave us a standing O, for the performance we just gave. And then the biggest in the business, the one you love the most, when you come through the curtains and all the boys, are there clapping and hugging and everything. We got that, and I remember when I found a table to go roll under and just like try to catch my breath, and then after I finally catch my breath a little, I hear and thought, it's not mine. I look across the hall, and Sean's done the same thing on the other side, rolled under the table trying to get his breath. But so and Black Jack Lanza was the agent. And back then, they used to call in every night and report the matches. Like, well, how was it? Was it good? Did anybody do anything wrong? I heard him talking on the payphones. We didn't have, what do you call it? Cell phones yet. Which, damn, how old am I? But so he called him and I heard him saying, Vince, you're going to need to put this on last. Nobody's going to be able to follow that. It's the best match I've seen in my career. And I think he said at that time, like 20 something years. So, I mean, the big build up, to this match, Vince was very happy about, as you can imagine. But so then the day of the Rumble, now we're gonna go do this for pay-per-view. And they brought us and set us down and said, well, we're gonna interject Sherry into it. Well, why didn't you do that on the road for 3 days? Okay, what we're doing, they have like three spots that she would get involved, because the thing was, will she go with Sean, who she had been with, or will she go with Marty, which actually gave her calls while she was in the hospital, from when Sean hit her with the mirror trying to hit me. That was the big thing. Which way will Sherry go? They made that the focal point of the entire damn thing. But we didn't. Why didn't you put us? Why did you just put us together for 3 or 4 matches on the road, and then the day of you throw that in and change it? It ruined the rhythm of the match that we had down perfect. And I mean, I still, all of us boys even said it was still a good match. It just wasn't. And I remember after the match, we go in the back, and Vince uh, calls us over, which always after pay per view, he gives you his critiquing of it. And we always heard best match. It was a great match. Love you guys, great. I was kind of expecting that, and I think Sean was too. It was the first time Vince says, I've heard so much about this match. I was looking forward to it. And quite frankly, that wasn't it. And we were like, wow, we've never been told that. Either one of us, as a team or individual, never been told that. So kind of were like taken back by it. As I walked away, um, I saw Sean, hey, can I talk to you, Vince? Pulled Vince aside. I'm looking like, well, what's he talking about? Why he's taking him over there in the corner to do that. But so the next day we're doing another TV taping. I think back then we did Superstars or something else. But Vince calls me in the office, and his office, and he tells me, he says, Marty, gonna have to let you go. What? We just shot a storyline with Sean and I. We're coming back WrestleMania against each other. The match continued in the back in the dressing rooms. They had cameras, and I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm sorry, but I have to let you go. And I'm like, Vince, for what? Uh, that wasn't what I was expecting yesterday. I said, you're going to fire me for a bad match? You need to go out there and fire half the people out there then. And he goes, doesn't matter what you say, the decision's been made. What do you mean, no matter what I say? And the decision's been made. You're the boss. You can change it. Why are you doing this? Well, it says it seems that one of the agents said you'd been drinking. Well, then test me. Because I had a no drinking thing on my separate, than what most of the guys had. Well, none of us could do drugs, but I had a no drinking clause included. So I said, test me. That's all you got to do. Test me right now. It would still be in me because decision's been made. You can't change nothing. No matter what you said. I was thinking, gosh, I mean, I kind of broke my heart. Um, then of course, when they said agent, somebody, so there's a lot of dirty conniving shit that goes on. Somebody came by and told me Ray Stevens said you were drunk. Okay, so I went right to where Ray Stevens was because I mean I wasn't nowhere near. So I went over to where Ray Stevens was filming the studio, and him and I have been friends since AWA days. So I was shocked, like, why would he do that? So I went in the dressing room. I said, thanks a lot, Ray. Thanks a fucking lot. And he must have known what I meant. But he stood up and hit the door. He goes, or the table. Uh, but he was in the interview room, like the little blue room green. But he sat there and hit the table. He goes, you are wrong. You are wrong. That's all he said. And,
Good impression, by the way. He was an alcoholic, but like a horrible alcoholic. So it's funny him ratting on you.
But if in hindsight, I found out he didn't. That's why I wonder, was somebody said, told? to disguise where it really came from, which was, I got a phone call. Okay, they let me go. Right in we're at the pinnacle of the career with this big storyline. Going to be the main event or semi-main at WrestleMania, and that happens, bro. Man, it broke my heart, and I sat around home, home pouting and just drinking and not caring about life. And fuck all this. You know,
They
um,
really wasted that feud too, because that was pretty much the hottest feud of that time. And that
yeah,
was even I liked Shawn Michaels the best at that time of his whole career. I thought
yeah,
that was the high point. So it's too bad that they wasted the feud like that.
and it was. To me, like I said, to me, it broke my heart because I was happy with the life I was living and the job I was performing. And to just get the rug snatched off under you, and thing was, I wasn't drunk, so I'm left to think like, what the hell's the real story? Because I obviously wasn't drunk. Um, Certainly wouldn't have had the match we had if I was drunk. I'd have been sloppy. But and it didn't make sense to me. Ray Stevens would do that to me because me and him were good buddies, and I think 3 months went by, 2 months maybe, and Kurt Hennig called me. Mr. Perfect calls me in the middle of the night. I say the middle of the night, like 2 in the morning, 1:30, at home, and I asked her, she said, "Hey, I got your job back for you." And I was like, Kurt's a big time ribber. He likes to play, prank on people. I was like, Kurt, man, that's not funny, bro. That's not. He goes, no, I'm serious. I got your job back for you. And so now I'm like, it sounds serious, but he said, I'm sitting right here with Vince, and Vince said, hello, Marty. And I'm like, well, what's going on? He said, well, I told him what happened. So what? Now to go, what happened in that limo ride with Vince? Mr. Vince is saying telling Kurt he knew we were friends. He was telling him how much he hated having to let me go. Um, and Kurt asked him, well, why did you let him go? And he said, well, Sean had told me that he was drunk during the match, and Sean was having to lead him. So when Sean pulled him aside to talk to him, evidently he was putting it on me and telling Vince that I was forgetting things in the ring, and he had to lead me by the nose, and I was just drunk, and he couldn't work with it. So Kurt says, well, I was with him. I know he wasn't drunk, which is true. And he said, I also saw Sean the night before. He passed out in the restaurant in his food. He had a bowl of soup or some shit. They had to pull him out of it, passed out in it.
That
And
happened to Scott Hall a few times too, legitimately back in their pill days.
yeah,
Like many people have said, the whole clique, not Nash, but Nash, Sean and Hall would do that.
what's
Apparently,
that? Pass out?
pass out in their food. I've heard that
Yeah,
from numerous stories. That's what the stories are, anyways.
yeah. It was bad. In '96, I I quit. And see, a lot of people don't know. Yeah, I got fired or released. Both a handful of times, but I also quit a handful of times. And then from '93 to the end of '94, I'd quit. I'd walked away, and they finally talked me into coming back in '96, beginning or late '95. And that's when eventually they put me and Al Snow together as the New Rockers. But that's that's when I was very upset to see what are they called? The muscle relaxers, not somas. Somas was taken over.
Quaaludes too, right? Were a big one.
They were, but not the somas. Just like took over. One night we would share a van, about 5 or 6 of us. So, to tour in for the next few days. When you got 3, 4, 5 days on the road driving, it's all drivable. With 4 or 5 of us would rent the van. It was me, Davy Boy, the Smoking Guns, what they were called then. Um, and who else? We had Raven. We'd all be riding together. Back then, he was Johnny Polo, though. But we riding together, and
You wrestled
after
him as Johnny Polo a few times. Sorry to interrupt there,
Johnny
but I
Polo, yeah,
remember.
then I wrestled him as Raven when I was in WCW. Um, and I'm not sure if it's just so horrible that I can't remember. That I can't remember if I had a match with him in ECW. Oh yeah, when we were saying the places that been forgot about ECW, I went there. It wasn't very long though. Um, but yeah, I went there. But so when I came back in '96, and I was seeing all the boys. One night we went and put our stuff down, and everybody showered up from at the thing. But we got to put our bags away and then go out. And it was we were in Houston. It was a country, that big ass, huge country place, and it had thousands of people could fit in it. Um, and we saw it being packed. We were all excited, like yes, yes, that's where we're going tonight. And we came back to it, went in, ordered our drinks, and I just remember it was, Dustin couldn't make it because at the hotel he'd already taken his somas, and the boys used to take them so much. Like
Dustin Rhodes, you mean?
Huh?
Dustin Rhodes?
Dustin, yeah, what I say, Dusty. Yeah,
No,
Dustin.
I just did. I just wanted to make it clear that it was Dustin Rhodes you're talking about. I
Yeah, Dustin and I were real good. We rode a lot on the road. Um, but I didn't even know the terminology of the phrases they were using. They would say, "Hey, how deep are you?" "Oh, I'm about 10 deep," meaning how many pills have you taken? Of the somas. I'm 6 deep. "Well, hell, I'm 8 deep." 10. Davy boy, 12. It's fucking 12. What is wrong with you? But that
You need to
Dustin,
voice a cartoon series about wrestling if they ever do one. You'd be the best. You could do everybody's voice.
I was around them long enough, but it was just sad to. It started that Houston, Texas night. I didn't know anything about Somers. That happened while I was gone. It took over too. Um, so Dustin takes it, and they had a system. Take your pills first, and then give it about 15 minutes, then eat, and it kicks it in because I guess it spikes it into your bloodstream. Shoots it in real quick, whatever. They had the system, and they would do that. I can't tell you how many nights Davy Boy would have to feed Dustin because when you take a lot like that, you kind of you can't control your faculties.
Soma
Uh,
shakes, they're
yeah,
called.
huh?
The
Yeah.
Soma shake. I used to have a roommate in Puerto Rico badly addicted to them, so I know all about them.
Oh, real? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll mess you up pretty bad.
I took some one night, like three of them, because like one, I got a high tolerance to anything, so I took three of them, and I didn't want to do what they were doing. Like, okay, eat right behind it, and it spikes it in you faster, and you get it full of fat. I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to shake things. But I when after I took them about 20 minutes, my there wasn't much, but they were like moving, and I was like, "Man, stop!" I didn't want to move, but I couldn't make them stop, like twitching. So I'm like, "Fuck that! No, that's not for me. I don't like to have a body part that won't do what I'm telling it to do." But back at
Some
Houston
people
one man,
wander around on them too. Have you ever seen those people? They'll kind of just get lost and not have a clue where they are.
yeah, what was the one that did the Crocodile Dundee's? Shit, what was his name? It wasn't. Well, when we got
Outback
there,
Jack, Outback Jack. We all
yeah.
love him. I just interviewed him like 2 or 3 months ago.
How's he doing?
How's he doing? He's still bitter, but he's
About
doing all right. He's had like 5 wives.
oh shit.
Yeah, which is amazing. And I guess at one point he was married to a WWE photographer or something. So yeah, he had a, did you know they hired him literally just meeting him at a bar? That's crazy. He was
They
never
fired
a
him.
wrestler. They
What?
went to a bar in the Outback, some of the agents, and they just ran into him.
That's how they found him.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
that's
Yeah,
why he had such an attitude.
I know he the reason he let him go. Sean and I had just gotten there, so he wasn't there. I didn't get to know him that well, but he's a nice, super nice guy. But
Oh, Halcyon. Someone mentions it was Halcyons that they gave him.
Yeah, house sounds were big when we first got there. They're not that damaging unless you take too many of them. Because what do you take one or two, and you drink two or three beers, and you're where you want to be. You don't need no more beer. You don't need anything else. But of course, the guys will overdo it. Two are good, three is better, four is the best. But they got him, and they're in a club at the hotel. It had a club in it. They're all there, and somebody looked out the window, one of the fans, and they're hollering at, "That's Outback! That's Outback! Look, look!" We're all looking, and he's over in the donut shop next door, naked. He's walking around in there naked, ordering donuts and stuff. No, I guess he came back and made a mess at the hotel.
Apparently, it was a pie. He actually actually, I asked him because you told a version of it, and he was very mad. You said it was donuts. He's like, "That was a pie."
It was a
He doesn't
pie.
have the story right. It was a piece of pie. Anyway, he's
It was
very
sad,
mad
though.
about that. He's extremely mad to this day about that.
That's
They
all
need
right.
to make a movie about him.
It'd be pretty good, I'm sure. Because, like I said, I didn't get to know him that well, but super nice guy and funny as hell. You know, but he would get messed up though. The Bulldogs, they didn't take it easy on the guys when they were going to bomb you, called H bombing, like you were saying, Halcyon, H bomb you, or during the Somas was when it was dangerous, man. Because gosh, what I didn't finish was going to say about that Houston. Uh, Dustin ate just got a pizza. Davy boy, and he had to do this quite often. Would have to feed him. He'd be shaking, and David had to put it in his mouth, make him chew it. That was pitiful to see. It was nice of Davy to help him eat, But then we got to the club, and it's loaded, women everywhere. And I went and bought a round of drinks for us all. We got a big tray with all the drinks. Sit up there and waited a while to get them all. And I come back to our table, and uh, who was it? No, not Davey. It was somebody else that was with us. Was at the table doing this, falling asleep at the table. And I'm thinking, well, he's going to miss out on a good night. Then I look over. The two smoking guns are standing there, looking at each other, like a couple feet apart, just staring at each other, leaning inwards, like a couple of bulls about to take off at each other. And I don't think they were coherent. I didn't know at first. I thought, no, they're not fussing with each other. And Kip, ass man Kip, he he got his drink in his hand, a bottle of beer, and it just slips right out of his hand and breaks right there on the floor. And I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking, oh man, this ain't good. And I hear, and I look, and Bart gun, the other one, he just dropped out of his hand too. And fucking run over there because they were about to fall down. I'm running over there and trying to sit them down so they didn't fall. But seeing that particular night, I did something I'd never done before, and evidently won't do again. Hold on, my battery's getting low on this. There it is. Um, but this is legitimately how worried I was. I took Vince aside at TV taping the next day, and I said, Vince, I said, and I'm not going to give you names, but I'm just going to tell you the boys are into something now. It's very dangerous. And we were in like a little closet, or not a closet, but it was some little space away from the boys, and kind of whispering because I didn't want the boys to think I'm ratting them out. I wasn't ratting them out. What I was concerned. I'm telling Vince we need to get this particular DeSomas. And he said, well, I've heard about them, but we test. I said, I think they're out of your system. And they're out of your system. Can be out as soon as 8 hours, but they don't last a full day. So drug testing would miss it. Um, but that's how I party. I would take pills here and there. I took some of those to see what it was all about. But that scared me. That scared me. So I told, Vince, we got to figure out something. And then he was like, well, can you tell me any names? And that booming voice of his, will you tell me any names? I'm like, hey, man, there's. He goes, sorry. I said, I told you when you come over here, I'm not going to give names. I'm just going to tell you we need to figure something out. And sure enough, and he said, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Sure enough, though, I told him it was less than a week. One of the boys, the first one, fell off, died because of somas. Um, and then from there, the next year or so, two or three of the guys died from somas. Somas got a lot of them, especially if it was mixed in with other things we might be doing. And yeah, that was to me was
Yeah.
sad.
I think Bison Smith, I don't know if you ever met him. He was a Noah wrestler that wrestled in Puerto Rico. He died mixing coke and somas.
Really?
People take it to come down, right? But
Yeah,
it makes
when you're
your
done with
heart
the coke,
going beating fast, and then it messes it all up.
they and you got your double time in your heart because the coke gets your heart going, and then what the hell's going on with his head? The somas reverse it, settle you down, so your heart's going, slams on brakes, and yeah, it was a bad scene. I hated the part that the guys would just be passing out in bars. I mean, they was sitting there asleep at the table, and if we don't look out for each other, if we don't keep an eye on them, they're subjected to anything could happen. Robbed, pillaged.
Someone's wondering if Sonny was on them.
Sonny was up bad on him, so was Skip. I think most of the boys were, as I said, I tried them that time, and that was it for me. I didn't like that, not being able to control, my hands. Um, I don't even know if I enjoyed the feeling it gave you, but I just know I didn't like that. So that was it for me. And I didn't like seeing my boys pass out at bars and, you know, all of them, any of them. I just saw Davy Boy all the time feeding Dustin, but all the boys would do that. They had the system. Everybody knew to take, eat after you take them. But they would
the
all
carbs activate them, right?
Yeah. And then they would pass out or start throwing up. It was fucking horrible. It's like, and the thing is, they would do it again the next night. It's like, okay, you missed a great night in that bar. The women everywhere. It was like shooting fish in a barrel, and you missed it. And they do it again the next night and the next night. And as I said when I talked to Vince about it, I was worried about my boys, but I wouldn't, like I said, I wasn't gonna give anybody's name, of course not. But the somas, I just told them we got to figure out that's going to be causing a lot. I told them before the first guy died on it, and there were several of the guys died after that. And I wondered what Vince might have thought. Like, damn, if Marty wouldn't have told me when he did, it might have been worse. And it might have, and it might not have, because it was bad as was. I don't remember how many of the guys, and that was around the time frame. I don't know if you were around yet. The boys were dying every couple of months. It was just one after another. And we would get the phone calls, that late phone call, 2 a.m. that you really didn't want to get. Because after a while, you knew a late night call. If it wasn't one of the boys that you party with, it was one of the boys got to tell you something. And the conversation would always start the same. Hey, did you hear what happened? As soon as you heard that, you're like, oh, shit. And you start wondering which one. And then you get told. It became so bad at one point. You kind of formed your own little inner circle of boys. Like I had like 5 that was super close with. That every time you get that call, that's the first 5 you would think of, like, don't let it be, don't let it be. It was just one time, that was Kurt, Mr. Perfect. Yeah, that knocked me on my ass, man, when I heard that. And the funny thing about it was Kurt was like our mentor for drug mix. He would tell us exactly what to take and when to take it to offset something. It's too much or it's not enough, or the combo that will make you feel right here or right there. He was like our mentor for that, and he ended up dying from it. Um, he would have like he had. I mean, one time he had like 4 different colors pills in his hand, and asked anybody else want some, and you know shoveled it down and like, what the hell was that, Kurt? He goes, it's called rainbow stew. It's all this different shit that, yeah. But he I don't want to, I was going to say now.
Is
Hold on, I
it
was going to
true
go off.
that is it true Jeff Jarrett was really messed up at certain times? We know he went to rehab and stuff because I heard we were talking about PCO Quebecer Pierre before. He told me when Jarrett went to Puerto Rico, he was like going to the all night clubs and was partying pretty hard till the sun came up. Basically, did you ever see that side of Jarrett?
No, I did not have Jeff. Jeff and I were close from where we first met in '87 in his dad's territory, Tennessee. Um, yeah, we buddied up and became real close. Uh, he would drink, and that'd be about it as far as he didn't partake in other things like the cocaine, or I don't remember him ever taking any pills. He was just like get drunk and not bad. I mean, he didn't ever get sloppy, but I don't know what he did afterwards. I mean, I was so disappointed with him, man. We were such good friends, and when anywhere when I had my house in Orlando, anywhere in the Florida area, would fly into Orlando and stay there for 3 days. We might hit Miami, Tampa, Jacksonville, and Orlando itself. So you had like 4 nights you could stay in Orlando, like in the middle of all that. And some of the guys that were real close, Scott Steiner being one, Jeff was one who would always spend the time at my house. Um, but then in 2000, I think it was, I had not talked to him in a couple of years, which was unusual. And that was the thought came to me like, man, Jeff ain't called me in a while, and I haven't called him. Wonder how he's doing. I called him and got the voicemail, and left a message like, hey, how you doing? Yada yada yada, miss you, all that. A couple of days went by, and I didn't even think about it, and somebody brought his name up again. I'm like, oh yeah, he never shit. I wonder if I left him my number, because I was living somewhere else, got a new number, and so I called and left him another message, and I started thinking about waiting for him to call back, and he didn't. And I thought, that's unusual, man. He always calls right back. Certainly within a day or two. Then I found out, and it disappointed me so bad. You know, they had bought TNA, or own, TNA was theirs, and Jeff was the booker running it. And I thought, that fucker thought I was calling for a job. He thought I was calling. Wow. And what if I had been? He would have done that to me. But that was such a disappointment because he's such a good friend. But, I saw him, I don't know, a couple of years after that, and it was all like we missed a lick and a hug and all that. I said, well, why didn't you call me back, dude? Was you afraid I was asking for a job? Um, he goes, oh, I didn't know you called. Come on, man. But it's, doesn't matter. It's just fine. But
That's the wrestling business for you.
yeah, it is. That's what I say. I've seen it before, and I was just surprised at him. He did make some changes. He was still the same with me. Like he'd see me come run, we'd hug up, buddies, just like we hadn't missed a day. But I saw how he was starting to be towards fans, and Jeff, when he was younger, was such a super nice guy, super nice to everybody. Now at that position, head of the company or whatever he was considered, um, treating the fans different, being kind of.
I had a horrible experience where he screwed the fans and me as the promoter. It was supposed to be PCO again against Jeff. I had 4,000 fans for this show. PCO against AJ Styles and Christian against Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett shows up at the show and he's like, and he had a first class plane ticket and $2,500 back in 2007. He's like, I don't feel like wrestling tonight, but I'll interfere. So we had to change the match to a 3-way, and all he did was like a 2-minute interference. So the fans felt they were completely ripped off, and I took all the heat from it. But it's like, I still had to pay this guy the full amount. He just didn't want to wrestle.
That's shocking to me. I mean, he was never like that before.
That was around the time he was running TNA, though. But it's like, just don't take the bookings to begin with.
Yeah, that shocked me to hear that. It's sorry that happened to you, but damn.
Yeah. Last couple of questions here. You mentioned Sunny and Skip. Do you think Sunny would drug Skip before she would have her little escapades and do it behind his back that way, or do you think he was aware of it and kind of didn't mind? Because there's a
There
lot
was
of guys out there that get off on that.
well, there was we all had several theories. It see, this will help that damn hair freaking shine. Oh shit, that's too bright, ain't it?
That looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I
He
look
looks
like a
like a
ghost.
ghost.
It shouldn't be like that though. Sorry to be adjusting the damn lighting on the show. Um, we there was the guys had wondered. At first we used to get mad about Sonny being with other guys because we all loved Chris. She was our little sister, but that was our brother, and we really despised it. She would, we thought at first when he found out a couple of the guys, or possibility of Sean, possibility of Davy Boy at one time. I'm sorry, shouldn't be saying these names. All right, I'm sorry about that. Back that up. Y'all drop that. Don't remember that. But I think it's known anyway. I'm pretty sure it was known. But throughout the fan
I
community.
heard she was with Animal as well. I don't know if that's true, but PCO. We keep talking about PCO this week, or this podcast for whatever reason. He told me that, but she was also with Hawk. I heard too. So who knows?
As time goes by, I'll hear a new one and another new one, and like, God, am I the only one that wasn't with her? And it wasn't like there wasn't a chance there. She came around a couple of times, but I told her, I said, "Oh, you look great and all that, but Chris is my friend," and she would just giggle it off and leave it alone. But gosh, it was so we started wondering, because Chris seemed to have gotten upset with Sean maybe, and I won't throw names, but another name, popular name, they teased each other about it on TV. That should help you.
Well,
Sunny
you know what
days.
the
That
weird
should
thing
help.
is, and I'm not going to say Bret Hart, but like she said in an interview, oh, they shared a dressing room together, but there was nothing going on. It's like this guy had a wife and he's sharing a room with you, and you're
Yeah,
trying to tell me there's nothing going on.
yeah.
And Bret admits in his book he was like a sex addict cheating on his first wife. All like that's
Well, if
public
he admitted
knowledge.
it, then I can go ahead and confirm it because Brett and I were good friends and hung out quite a bit on the road, and yeah, I almost got mad at him one time because he came to Orlando. Was gonna stay at my place, and I had my girl of that time find one of her good-looking friends, and she did, and we met up at the arena in Orlando, and introduced them. And, she came in. I forgot her name, Sandra. We'll just say Sandra. And he was happy to meet her, and he's always a nice guy, super nice guy. Um, and then she walked off, and then my girl Ray Linda was her name, came over and introduced. Here's my girlfriend, and that's her friend. We got you hooked with. And Brett put that down, trying to mesmerize her. He shook her hand, held her hand, and just smiled and like staring her in the eyes. I was like, okay, man, stop. Damn, I'm hooking you up, not with my girl. Shit. But yeah, he did. Okay.
I mean, I'm sure
Uh,
that had to do with their heat. They're both. It's a classic two guys that both had a crush on the same girl. Like,
yeah.
so it's very bizarre. None of them would fight over these days. They'd fight. They'd battle not to bag her these days. But yeah, I mean, you just have to have a little bit of intelligence to figure that one out. But last thing we'll bring up here.
Okay.
Apparently, Mr. Tanaka from the Orient Express, Pat Tanaka, his match from the Royal Rumble aired with you on WWE's YouTube channel today. And you were telling me, have you found him yet? He's been hard to get a hold of lately.
No, he was living, is, or was living in Fargo, North Dakota, and one of his best friends there had called me up and asked if I'd heard from him or anything, which I haven't. And I'd been texting and left him a couple matches. Um, didn't get no, which is rare for him not to call back either, or at least text, say something. But now it's been, I ain't talked to him in probably 3 weeks. And, we're real close. We're like best friends, road boys, best friends. And his buddy said, well, he was sleeping out of my car, but he's not. And I can't find him. And I can't find anybody that's seen him. He had lost his job, I guess. And I don't know. I haven't got to talk to him, see like what's going on. Do you need money or are you good? You ain't, you don't have anywhere. Damn, but we'll find out, I guess, in time. He had said that his friend had said that like he was talking some shit, like he just can't deal with it no more. That was it. Just can't deal with it no more. I guess you try to figure out what that means, but we know what that could mean, and it kind of makes you worry. I just don't really think Pat would go that route, but nobody can find him.
Yeah, and if anyone sees this and has heard from him, let me know, and I'll let Marty know. Or if you know how to contact Marty, let him know, because this happens with wrestlers, right? You don't hear from him for a while, then we all know what happens, and I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, y'all can hit me up on Facebook too. I'm not sure if I'm at the limit they'll let you have with friends, but you can follow and we can communicate through that way. So follow me as under Marty Jannetty on Facebook, and
hopefully we'll have you back on again soon.
What's that?
Hopefully we'll have you back on here again soon.
Yeah,
you're always welcome.
It's always kind of easy going and fun to do.
Yeah, I'll say it. People get mad at me because I'll tell the truth about wrestlers, and sometimes they're surprised. Mark Kerr, who The Rock just did a movie about, he was very humble. Then when The Rock started to do a movie about him, he developed an attitude. People don't believe me, even though I've had direct experience about him, because in interviews, he's being humble because he's around The Rock. But I will tell people this: you're a nice guy. You don't have an ego. You're down to earth. You're one of the nice wrestlers out there. But I appreciate talking to you. I hope Pat does better, and I'll let you close this off with whatever you want to tell the fans.
Yeah, all right. And like I said, I appreciate with you. But y'all can contact me, like I said, on Facebook. I'm probably forgetting something. I do have X, as it's called now. I had Instagram, but I think I must have done something wrong, because I guess they're both.
Jannetty Hall of Fame for your ex? Is it Jannetty Hall of Fame? Jannetty HOH?
HOH?
Yeah.
Or HOF.
Or HOF. Sorry, HOF. Yeah. Jannetty HOF.
I think Addie had just put something out, and we was getting some signatures, because so many fans keep asking, why aren't you in the Hall of Fame? You should be, certainly as the Rockers. And really, the only answer I got that I don't know that this is it, and it should be over now because different owners. When I got involved with a lawsuit against WWE for a CTE thing, I really didn't want to, but they had treated me, I felt wrong with my ankles. Because I had asked him, the doctor being my friend, he's not charging me. So the only thing you'd have to pay is the hospital, because that's a separate charge. And I told him, we can get this for next to nothing. And you're sending everybody to rehab. And, at that time when I was talking to him, Scott Hall had been like a dozen times. Sonny had been a whole bunch. Jake had been a whole bunch. There was several guys that shit. One time, if you stay for a month, it's like $30,000. And, I told him, I said, so less than that, in lieu of going to a rehab, sending me get my ankles fixed, because I was taking pain pills way more than we wanted me to. And my brother got worried about it, and he was like, this ain't right. They sending everybody through rehab, but they won't take care of your ankles. And what the worst part about it was the royalty check that we get quarterly. I was looking at how much they're making, and then I get a little portion of it. But I told, I'm not going to say her name, Ann Russo. I told her, she was in charge at the time. I said, look, the money y'all made last quarter is more than enough to pay for the ankle surgery. Just take it out of that, because that's almost like free money, because you didn't actually do physical work for it. That was your action figures or your toys and stuff. So it's like almost next to free. So let's try, take it out of that. But she had said, Marty, you got a very valid point, but the problem would be if we do that for you, we'll have to do it for everybody. Open the floodgates. Well, let me ask y'all out there listening to this. If you were making money off me or any of the boys today, you're making money. Should you not still take care of them when their injury is due to what they did in the ring that makes y'all that money? My ankles would be from 20 years of jumping off top ropes, not only into the ring, but down to the floor, 10, 15 feet below. Um, all the whole career of that. And that's all it would be. But, I don't know. I don't know if that's what's got me blackballed from it, or if there's somebody else, just now jealous, don't want me in there. I don't know. I certainly know. I get asked a lot. Does it bother you? At first, it didn't, because I thought, like, why would it bother me? I mean, Donald Trump's in there. Nothing against Donald. Donald's in there. A couple of actors who have done one show with us are in there. I mean,
Bull Nakano, who was in there for 3 months, for crying out loud, she got in.
Well, Tyson's in it. I mean, you think I'm going to be worried about not being in that? But then as time went by and I'm hearing Hall of Famer this or Hall of Famer that, or when I'm doing shows, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Hall of Famer Ted DiBiase. Then I start thinking, well, that got a nice sound to it, so I wouldn't mind, and it went from I don't mind to, as time went, I saw some of the people that were putting in, and like, oh man, come on, bro. They're in and I'm not. Come on, man. I mean, I don't know that the Rockers were considered great by everybody, but a lot. In fact, at the time, there was two teams that kind of changed, revolutionized, or changed.
I'll tell you one thing, just quickly. They were better than the natural disasters. Nothing against Typhoon, but you should be in there before Typhoon. I'm sorry, there's just no question about it.
There. Wow.
They put Typhoon in there, who's best known for falling, as the Shockmaster.
Yeah.
name me one good Typhoon match. I'm sorry, but Earthquake was good. Typhoon was just the guy with him. But whatever, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I tell you, I don't. I love I love Earthquake. I love Typhoon. But some of the worst matches we had was against them, me and Sean, because I mean they're 350, almost 400 pounds each, and Sean and I are 220, 230 pounds. You got the two littlest guys against the two biggest guys, and we still managed to pull a match out. It just wasn't. Certainly there was no, they weren't taking bumps, but yeah, man, it was. I love them to death anyway, but I mean. Wow. Again, he is and I'm not. All right. But one day maybe.